Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we continue to read our book, Bhagavad-Gita, as it is written by His Glorious Sati Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And today we will read chapter 4, verse 28, 29, and 30. Let's start. And we will read also next verse today. So let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dravya-yajna-sta Oyajna-yoga-yajna-stapat Tatha pare Swadhyaya-jnana-yajnascha Yatta Yatyah-samhita-vartaha. Translation. Having accepted strict rules, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions and others by performing service or charities. By practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. Report. These sacrifices may be fitted into various divisions. There are persons who are sacrificing their possessions in the forms of various kinds of charities. In India, the rich mercantile community or princely orders open various kinds of charitable institutions like Dharmashala, Annakshetra, Anithishala, Anathalya, and Vaidya-pitha. In other countries too, there are many hospitals, old age homes, and similar charitable foundations meant for distributing food, education, and medical treatment free for the poor. All these charitable activities are called Dravyamaya Yajna. There are others who, for higher elevation in life or for promotion to higher planets within the universe, voluntarily accept many kinds of austerities such as Sandrayana and Chaturmasya. This process entails various for condition life under certain rigid rules. For example, under the Chaturmasya law, the candidate does not for shave for 4 months during the year, July to October. He does not eat certain food, does not eat twice in a day, or does not leave home. Such sacrifice of the comforts of life is called or tapomaya yajna. There are still others who engaged themselves in different kinds of mystic yogas like the Patanjali system, or merging into the existence of the absolute, or Hatha yoga or Ashtanga yoga for particular professions. And some travels to all the sanctified places of pilgrimage. All these practical practices are called yoga yajna, sacrifice for certainty of perfection in the material world. There are others who engage themselves in the studies of different Vedic literature, specifically the Upanishads and Vedanta Sutras, or the Sankhya philosophy. All of them are called Sankhya Yajna, or engagement in the sacrifice of studies. All these yogis are faithfully engaged in different types of sacrifice and are seeking a higher status of life. Krishna consciousness, however, is different from this because it is the direct service to the Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness cannot be attained by any one of the above mentioned types of sacrifice, but can be attained only by the mercy of the Lord and his bona fide devotees. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is transcendental. Next verse. Prane juhvati paranam prane panam tatha pare pranapana gatirutva prana yama paranyana apare nityatahara pranan pranesho juhvati. Translation. Still others who are inclined to the process of bridge restrained to remain in trance practice by offering the movement of the outgoing bridge into into in into the incoming, and the incoming bridge into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing bridge breathe in, into itself as a sacrifice. Forward. This system of yoga for controlling the breathing process is called pranayama, and in the beginning, it is practiced in the Hatha Yoga system through different sitting postures. All of this process are recommended for controlling the senses and for advancement in spiritual realization. This practice involves controlling the air within the body so as to reverse the directions of their passage. The apana air goes downward and the apana air goes up. The pranayama yogi practices breathing the opposite way until the currents are neutralized into puraka equilibrium. Offering the exhaled breath into the inhaled breath is called chaka. When both air current are completely stopped, one is said to be in Kumbhaka Yoga. By practice of Kumbhaka Yoga, one can increase the direction of life for perfection in spiritual realization. The intelligent yogi is interested in attaining perfection in one life without waiting for the next. For by practicing Kumbhaka Yoga, the yogis increase the direction of life by many years. Krishna consciousness person, however, being always situated in the transcendental loving service of the Krishna, automatically becomes the controller of their senses. His senses, being always engaged in the service of Krishna, have no chance to become otherwise engaged. So at the end of life, he is naturally transferred to the transcendental plan of Lord Krishna. Consequently, he makes the attempt to increase his longevity. He is at once raised to the platform of liberation as stated in Bhagavad-Gita. Mamchayo vyabhyacharena bhaktiyogena sevate sagunam samachityan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engaged in an unalloyed devotional service to the Lord transcends the modes of material nature and is immediately developed to the spiritual platform. Krishna consciousness person beginning from the transcendental stage, and he is consequently in that consciousness. Therefore, there is no falling down, and ultimately he enters into the abode of the Lord without delay. The The practice of reduced the practice of reduced eating is automatically done when one eats only Krishna prasadam, or food which is offered first to the Lord. Re- reducing, reducing the eating process is very helpful in the matter of the sense control. And without sense control, there is no possibility of getting out of the material entanglement. Next verse. Savir Purite yajna vido yajna kshapita masa yajna sistamrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam. Translation. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifices become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of the result of sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. Purport. From the foregoing explanation of different types of sacrifices, namely sacrifice of one possession, study of the Vedas, or philosophical doctrines and performance of the yoga system, it is found that the common aim of all is to control the senses. Sense gratification is the root cause of material existence. Therefore, unless and until one is situated on a platform apart from sense gratification, there is no chance of being elevated to the eternal platform of full knowledge, full bliss, and full life. This platform is in the eternal atmosphere or Brahman atmosphere. All the above infinite sacrifices help one to become cleansed of the sinful reactions of material existence. By this advancement in life, not only does one become happy and opulent in this life, but also at the end he enters, enters the eternal kingdom for God, either making into the impersonal Brahman or associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. This means that we do these very different types of sacrifices for become clean of the sinful reactions of material existence, and um, to become to understand that Lord is the supreme, and we and our position is servitor to Lord. We have to understand this by performing sacrifices. Very interesting. Next verse. Oh, very short. Nayam lokosti ayajnasya kuto nyahuru sattamam. Translation. O best of the Kur dynasty, without sacrifice one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What what then of what then of the next? Okay, if we want to become happy, if you want to live um by happy life, we must perform sacrifice, doing everything like sacrifice to the Lord, offering everything that we do to the Lord, and uh, this is will our sacrifice. Purport. Whatever form of material existence one is invariably ignorant of this real situation. In other words, existence in the material world is due to the mul- multi- multiple reactions to our sinful lives. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on the material existence. The human form of life is the only loophole by which one may get out of this entanglement. The Vedas therefore gives up a chance of experiment by pointing out the path of religion, economic comfort, regulate sense gratification, and at last, the means to get out of the miserable condition entirely. The path of religion, or the different kinds of sacrifice recommended above, automatically solves our economic problems. By performance of yajna, we can have enough food, enough milk, etc. And if there is a so-called increase of population, when the body is fully supplied, naturally the next stage is to satisfy the senses. The Vedas prescribed, therefore, sacred marriage for regulated sense gratification. Thereby one is gradually elevated to the platform of release from material bondage, and the highest perfection of liberated life is to associate with the Supreme Lord. Perfection in achieved by performance of yajna sacrifice as described above. Now, if a person is not inclined to perform yajna according to the Vedas, how can he expect a happy life and in this body, and what to speak about, what to speak of another body on another planet? There are different grades of material comforts in different heavenly planets, and in all causes there is immense immense happiness for persons engaged in different kinds of yajna. But the highest kind of happiness that a man can achieve is to be promoted to the spiritual planets by practice of Krishna consciousness. A life, a life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution to all the problems of material existence. Next verse. Vambahu vibhayajna vitata brahmano mukhe karmayan vidhitan sarvam evam jnatva vimokshyasen. Translation. All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Oh, it's very interesting. Purport. Different types of sacrifice are discussed above are mentioned in the Vedas to suit the different types of worker. Because men are so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept, these sacrifices are so arranged that one can work either with the body, with the mind, or with the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. This is confirmed by the Lord hearing which from his own mouth. Next verse. Shriyan Haryamayat Yajna Jnana Yajna Paran Tapa Sarvam Karma Khilam Partha Jnane Parishamapyate. Translation. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. All sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. Purport. The purpose of all sacrifices is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge, when to gain release from material miseries and ultimately to engage in love and transcendental service to the Supreme Lord, Krishna consciousness. Nonetheless, the misery about all these different activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Sacrifices sometimes take different forms according to the particular phase of the performer. There once Fair reached the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifices should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge, for without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remain of the material platform and bestow to spiritual benefit. Real knowledge culminate real knowledge culminate in Krishna consciousness, the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. Without the elevation of knowledge, sacrifices are simply material activities. When, however, they are elevated to the level of transcendental knowledge, all such activities enter onto the spiritual platform. Depending on difference in consciousness, sacrificial activities are sometimes called karmakanda, fruitive activities, and sometimes jnana kanda, knowledge in the parsing, parting of truth. It's better than the end. It is better when the end in knowledge. So how I understand these verses that Krishna consciousness is culminate of all knowledge and all sacrifices. When we doing our prescribed duties, when we perform different sacrifices, we have to become to pure devotional service to the Lord. When we do everything with love for Lord, yeah, we have to become to this position, and for this we have to do our prescribed duties like performing to the Lord. We have to do our work, and we have to do everything with thinking about Lord and remember about His pleasure, and doing everything like thinking, I'm doing this for the Lord, I'm doing this for Krishna's pleasure, and doing everything. Remember His spiritual name every time. I think that is all for today. Thank you for watching this video till the end, and we'll see you on the next time. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. See you.